Okay.
to hypertension.
Yeah, it's a condition only found in pregnancy. It's high blood pressure and high protein in the urine. And the solution selling idea for Bozier-Faoro originated with the Sao Paulo hospital, where the doctor had issues with a lot of his patients having preeclampsia, right? That's what the case says. Have Augusto and Cora established that the hospital where Sergio is, what's the name of that hospital? Okay, doesn't matter. Have they established that that hospital has the same level of problem with preeclampsia? They have not. So did they qualify that? So here they're going and trying to convey a solution, but you really don't know whether it's the same problem there or not, right? What else is going on? Can you get the diamond up there? What's the first thing up there? Relationship. Who has the relationship with Sergio?
The sales rep.
Sales rep has a relationship. Does Augusta have a relationship with Sergio?
Not
No.
directly.
Not a strong relationship. Does Cora have a relationship with Sergio?
Relatively stronger, but
Not really. So here we have two people trying to convince someone to transact without a relationship, right? So there was really no basis for them to do it. Now let's say there is an institutional relationship, though, isn't it? Because the institution, Bozier-Faoro, has been selling to Sergio's hospital. So there's an institutional relationship. But even with the institutional relationship, have Augusto and Cora qualified the need that Sergio has? They haven't. Did they ask him any questions? Augusto just walked in and wanted to tell him about this higher price for which he got a few other things, right? So we have no real relationship here. Did we go through the process of Don here? Do you think Sergio has dollars?
less.
How many of you think he does not have dollars? How many of you think he has dollars?
Less.
No, do you think he has dollars to do what Augusto and Cora?
Exactly what they want.
Why are you saying that? I have no idea whether he does or not.
They're already in debt.
So what? You have no information, not enough information from the case on whether Sergio has enough dollars or not. And you, all of you, just made the classic mistake of coming to a conclusion based on your own personal bias and prejudice of what the case is based on the person's reaction. He said, I have a lot of constraints, and therefore you jump to the conclusion that he doesn't have dollars. What was the example I gave you about the 1,000 rupee note? Some of you were willing to pay me 1,500 rupees for my 1,000 rupee note. Because I conveyed to you that it was worth more, didn't I? So you don't know whether Sergio has the money to spend or not. That qualification hasn't been done. There was some question here.
So hasn't it been written that we simply do not have enough cash for additional equipment? Like Sergio makes that statement for additional equipment, they do not have cash. So that will be linked with the need, because Augusto did not first realize that they do not have the need, but then Sergio does mention he does not have the cash for it. So
He does not have the cash for the equipment, but he doesn't know what the equipment can do for him. So let's say for a second that the preeclampsia cases are pretty significant in that hospital. Let's say that, okay? It's not clear from this case whether they are or not, because Augusto and Cora did not qualify that. They didn't find that out. It has been established in the case that for the hospitals that use the additional equipment that Bozier Faura sells and provides to their patients for their independent monitoring, that it reduces the cost. So while he may not have money for the equipment, if they had established value and if they had provided this equipment to a lot of their patients, the overall patient care cost might be lower. So the net benefit might be much higher. So you may not have money just for the equipment, but if you add it up with the lower patient care cost, because the patients are monitoring themselves and therefore they are less likely to get unhealthy, then it will lower the overall cost of the hospital, is it not? You guys follow what I'm saying? So you cannot just look at the one item. You have to look at what the overall problem is and what the overall benefit to the customer is. So while he may not have enough money, as he says, to buy the equipment, if Augusto, for example, told him, you know what, if you bought this additional equipment from me, it's going to cost you $1 million more. But by providing it to all your patients, it's going to reduce your patient care cost by $10 million. What do you think Sergio's answer is then going to be? You think he has the money then? He does, doesn't he? So the point to be noted here is that you cannot just take a person at his word. I don't have money is not the answer you need to walk away with. You don't have money because you haven't seen the value in what I'm selling you, right? So let me sit down with you, Sergio, and let me explain to you how this equipment that I have is going to save you $10 million. You guys follow this point? Okay, so any questions on what I've said so far? Okay, so now with this discussion, how many of you think Bozi y Faura should continue with their solution selling? None of you, oh, one of you thinks, 2, 3, 4 of you think, okay. And the others of you think they should discontinue solution selling.
For Bozi Flora, there are always markets, means they cannot completely transform themselves into what they were not before. They can be solution selling for some customers, and for others they should not be.
That is one way of looking at it. Her point is, maybe they need to do what is known as customer segmentation. For some customers, they could be solution selling. For some, they shouldn't be, right? But there is another point here that I'm trying to pull out. Yes?
You can always approach all the customer segments to whom you're doing the solution selling thing with more research, I guess.
Yeah, so I think I know where you're going. Look, a solution sale doesn't mean it's the same exact solution for every customer. Right? It doesn't mean it's the same solution, number one. So what may have worked for Sao Paulo Hospital may not work for Sergio's hospital. And if you're in a true solution selling mode, you're sitting down and understanding from Sergio, and not just Sergio, but other people in the organization, trying to find out what the problem is. And if you're a true solution seller, you may come up with the right solution. Right? So how many of you now think they should continue solution selling? Oh, a few more hands. Okay, good. Now I have one more point to make. How do you know that Augusto and Cora did not have the information about preeclampsia cases in Sergio's hospital? You don't know that. What they did not do, they might have had the research. What they didn't do is they didn't sit down and share with Sergio all the research that they might have had. Okay? The case implies that the preeclampsia cases were just as many, but it's not very clear. But if they had taken the time to understand that, they might have been able to still use the same solution that worked for Sao Paulo Hospital and apply it here. They did not go through the process. They did not have the relationship. They really didn't solution sell. What they did was they took their product, which was a solution, and said, okay, now it has to work for these. Right? They didn't take the time to understand what the problem was. They didn't try and take the time to explain the value to Sergio.
Customizing that.
Huh?
Customizing it to the specific.
Yes, they did not do that, right? Now, how many of you think Bozi Efaura should continue solution selling? Okay, good. Yes, you had a question, or?
It's evident that Sergio has definitely put a gun on these people, but it looks like he has not got the stuff right, because he's been working with them for 15 years now. So
Them being Augusto and Cora's company.
yeah, the company has been associated for 15 years. Even if this particular product, this solution is not accepted, he might not end up not using the other equipment also. The other hospitals, like his share would be say some X%. He is confident about, like, he thinks that all the other hospitals, which add up to about 60%, will, like, that he is using as the trade point. But the other hospitals who had been working with this company as well for 15 years might not just...
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Just because a prospect, your point is, just because a prospect threatens you that he's going to influence everyone else, it doesn't mean that he has really the capability to do that. So you just cannot simply be weak-minded and accept everything on the face of it. So the point here is, in this case, that solution selling works if you really understand the problem, so long as you take the time to articulate the value, and don't just walk in and drop something on someone's desk and say, you know what, it's going to cost you more, here's the bigger solution. You guys understand what I said here? Good. Any final questions before we start wrapping up here? Yes?
So don't you think that this entire concept of solution selling is inefficient because you cannot produce in bulk, or like every customer would like to have his own customized solution, so bulk production never comes?
Yeah, you make a fair point. His point is, don't you think that solution selling is inefficient because you cannot produce in bulk? But that's not entirely true if you identify a problem in a market segment that's applicable to a lot of different people. Now your same solution is applicable to a lot of different people, so you don't have to customize it. But you still have to take the time to understand the problem. And more importantly, convey to the prospect that you have understood his problem. It's not enough for you to just understand it. The other person should realize that you've understood it. If they then understand that you've understood it, they're more likely to listen to your solutions. Yes, sir.
While Uzi, like they are indirectly selling it to the customer, right, via hospital. So why don't they open their own shop somewhere where they will sell it directly to the customers, and they just need a reference from the doctors to tell them that look, here is a product which you can use. So customers, because they have the doctor's advice, they will want to, because they have the trust, the doctors won't tell them the wrong things. They can then go and buy the product directly.
Right, so his point is, why don't they sell it directly, separately? If you guys refer to your business model canvas that Professor Joshua and Professor Kusri have been using, one of the items in that canvas is channels. And it's beyond the scope here in this short time to discuss how you have different channels, but that's one way to look at it. Maybe they create a separate channel and sell directly.
Salil, I think one point on the solution selling, we need to really understand that anyone who gives solution selling has got something of a core with them. the core of technology or the core of the basic product or service, and they will only customize part of it to meet those individual requirements of other people. So it's not that each solution starts from the basic and make for the individual hospital or a client. There is a core. That core has to be common in most of those applications. And on that you build the customized solutions for the other people. So if that is done efficiently, there is still a chance.
So in closing, we are going to come up on time here. So in closing, what I want to do is, this whole case study was about using the sales strategy and the diamond framework properly. If you noticed, we touched on a lot of different elements. The relationship part. You have to establish the relationship. You have to establish the trust. The longevity was there. They had a good relationship, right? So that's a check mark there, I think. They did not follow the process, the Don process at all. They just took a shortcut there. Didn't take the time. They didn't understand the interests of the other parties. Why was Sergio not willing? Because he now has to go and sell to someone else, right? They didn't go through this process as well as they could have. They really didn't do solution selling. They had this pre-canned solution. They didn't sit down and take time to understand what Sergio's problems were. So they violated the process almost every step of the way. Do you think they were clear in what their BATNA was? Sorry? Do you think Augusta and Cora, they were not sure on where they wanted to walk away from, right? So they didn't know what their options were. So the point of this case here is that regardless of how tempting it may be to jump in and cram something down a prospect's throat, you really need to follow process. And if you are thorough about it and you go through the steps with it, the outcomes are usually much better than if you don't. Thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you. Have a great